Welcome. Tonight's live stream. For those of you all who are new, um, comment new in the comment section and tell us where you're watching from and who you teach or who you're supporting this school year. For those of you all who don't know me, my name is Michelle, aka the Ignited Teacher. And what I do, I'm trying to find my screen. There I am. And what I do on this channel is I help math teachers or math educators, whichever you choose, to close learning gaps and increase their students' grade levels by at least one grade level for the school year. So that's in a nutshell I do. And you might be saying, well, how do you do that? I do that by providing you with strategies that I know work, which are evidence based and research based strategies. And I also provide you with my math intervention cycle because there's a process when it comes to teaching and learning. And if you're just throwing spaghetti at the wall, then the students are learning and it's not going to stick because there's a process, there's an art to teaching math. So thank you for joining me this evening for this live stream. So, I am hosting a free workshop this Saturday. I host monthly workshops for teachers just like yourself, those of you all who are watching. And this month's topic is the 4-step process for math success, which I'm going to give you a general overview. That's what I'm talking about tonight. Strategies for effective math intervention. That's what I'm doing. And it starts with a process. If you don't have a process for intervention, then it you're not going to see the gains that you would like to see. I know a lot of you all are getting paid for your work and your test scores. So if you're trying to get a certain score so you can get so much bonus money at the end of the year or the beginning of next year, then and you don't have a process, you're going to always be chasing the next best thing. The 26 years I've been teaching, I've always used the same process, which has given me the results that I need to hit the targets that I need. So, if you're interested in joining us on Saturday, if you're on Facebook, you can type workshop in the comment section. On YouTube, you can ask me for the link in the comment section and I'll drop it over there. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, effective math intervention, I said, begins with a process. No process because you have to recreate what works over and over again with your students. And you may change like your strategy, but the process in the way that you address your data that is not mastery or proficient, wherever you want it, or 70%, you have to address that data quickly. It's not, oh, I'm going to get to it next week. No, that data has to be addressed quickly. So, where does it start? Oops. Let me move over here because these things are popping up. Where does it start? It starts with this process, which is the 4-step math intervention cycle. It's assess, diagnose, reteach, assess. Say it with me. Assess, diagnose, reteach, reassess. That's it. And you're probably thinking that, oh, assessment begins with a test. No, it doesn't. When you go to the doctor, they say, I'm going to assess you. That doesn't mean that they're going to pull out a paper and pencil and give you a multiple choice test. It means that you're evaluating the students. And that can begin with anecdotal notes. Anecdotal notes are observations. If you're a younger teacher, you can write down, and I'm not, let me take that back, not younger, I'll say inexperienced, and you don't have at least 5 years of experience. You can write down what you're seeing and you can ask somebody about, what does this mean? Don't get stuck in a rut to where you're saying, oh, well, I'm not a experienced teacher, I don't know, but you know how to write things down and say, well, I'm seeing that this student is having this problem. What does this mean? The math interventional cycle starts with that data. It can be quantitative, which is the what, those are your numbers, and it can be qualitative, it can be the why, what you're seeing in the classroom. So, say for instance, the student doesn't understand something real easy, X and Y coordinates. You would think that's easy, but it's not. It's a process. Students have to go on the x-axis and then go up the y-axis. If you're in secondary and maybe some fifth grade classes, it's all four quadrants. The four quadrants are the quadrants that are opposite one another have opposite coordinates, and it's a pattern, and it doesn't go clockwise, it goes counterclockwise. Quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it has its own process, and a lot of times those students get them mixed up. So say for instance, a student is mixing up the quadrants. It's a whole situation. You have to figure out where to begin with that student in intervention, because in middle school, understanding the coordinate plane is definitely an introduction and a requirement, prerequisite for slope intercept. Yeah, rise over run, which I don't like, because some people say you rise down. No, I don't do that. So those X and Y coordinates are important. So, because it's going to tell you whether you're going to have a positive or negative slope, depending on how that line rises. I know some of that's over your head. So back to X and Y coordinates. So that's what you're seeing in your classroom. And say, for instance, you don't know what to do. So the next step, I've assessed the kids. Maybe I had an exit ticket, or maybe it was a check for understanding question. You have the data, and the kids are just bombing. And it's a true story. I'm not using it just because, but true story. So the kids are not doing well. So the next step is to diagnose. Where's the problem? What do I need to do to fix the problem? That's the diagnosis. It's like, go to the doctor. You say, oh, I have a cough, I'm congested. The doctor assesses you, listen to your breathing. Maybe for some reason you have asthma. Then the doctor recognizes that you're wheezing. All right, so you're having an asthma attack. That's the diagnosis. Same thing with this math intervention cycle. What is the problem? Back to the coordinates. Well, the students are mixing up the X and Y coordinate. Also, they're mixing up the negative and positives on the coordinates. So they don't get any of it. So now you have diagnosed the problem with the student. Now, what are we going to do to treat that? The treatment is the reteach. You're going to reteach. And sometimes, unfortunately, this reteach is sometimes not a reteach. It's an introduction. Yeah. You have some kids, they're like, I never learned this. And some of them, you know, that they missed a lot of school for whatever reason. And in that reteach is really an introduction. And sometimes it takes longer than what you expect to fix it. So, how are you going to reteach this? What strategies are you going to put in place? That's all in this group anecdotal note. So, if I am a teacher and my students are mixing up the X and Y coordinates, what I'm going to do is first of all go back and reteach the coordinate plane. Make sure that clear up any misconceptions, that they understand that the coordinate plane is left to right, going counterclockwise. Quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4, because that is a common misconception. You have to know what common misconceptions that students have. That will help you narrow what it is that you're looking for in the kids. Especially, it will help you with coming up with a reteach plan for in this skill. So that's one of the common misconceptions. Also, students don't understand that the first and third quadrant are opposites. So the first quadrant, the X and Y are positive. The third quadrant, X and Y are negative. So that's a good way to clear up misconceptions to help the kids understand. So you cleared up two misconceptions. Quadrant counterclockwise. Quadrants diagonally have opposite signs. So first and third, positive, negative, and then you have the other two where they're flipped. One has a negative X quadrant, negative X and positive Y, and then the other quadrant has a positive X and a negative Y. So those are things that you can tell the students to clear it up. And then after you reteach it, you go to the reassess portion. And then hopefully you have more kids that get it right than get it wrong. And then you progress monitor. That's the reteach portion of that lesson. And that's the math intervention cycle. It is not anything labor intensive. It's a quick way to turn over data. My principal last year, she used to tell me, well, when I had my meeting with her about my evaluation, she said, you address data very quickly. I do, because data doesn't wait. So say for instance, my students take a test or whatnot, I started looking at those huge things. Because if I was teaching eighth grade and my students were struggling with slope intercept, I would look at, do they understand the quadrants? Because that's a common issue in sixth grade, because I taught sixth grade math. So that's where I would start to see if there were any issues. And I would look at student work to see if that was an issue. That's why it's important for students to work out those problems, and you should make them show their thinking. I tell my students, show your thinking so I can help you clear it up, because I don't read minds. So that's one of the ways you can do that. But this whole thing with, oh, the kids don't have to show their thinking. No. How are you going to clear if they get the answer wrong? You can't clear it up for them at all. At all. So those four little steps, let me go back to them. It starts here with the assessment portion. What you see in your class is important, and you need to jot it down. If you have questions that you have planned, you need to definitely make note of who's answering. Yeah, those babies that answer those way out there questions, you're like, okay, we're just gonna move on. Yeah, make note of those, definitely, because that means that the student doesn't understand what is taking place. Also, if students cannot tell you how they solve a problem, oh, miss, I don't know how, I just knew how to do it. No, sir. No, ma'am. No, sir. That's not how it works. We explain our thinking. If someone asks you how to ride a bike, what you gonna say? I don't know. I just get on the bike and ride. No, you're gonna show them how to ride a bike. So it's the same thing with math. And students need to get used to sharing their thinking. And that's a good way to start that cycle as you're thinking about when you're teaching, how am I going to address this data? You're going to assess it, diagnose it, reteach it, and reassess. And the way that you can address it, you can front load concepts, you can do a mini lesson, and you can do small group, pull them out. Those are three effective ways that you can address data. It doesn't have to be long drawn out. And then you need to make sure how many kids need it. If your whole class needs the skill, then you need to teach the lesson over again with some front loading and not scaffolds, because I think that's overused. And please don't use this stuff called accelerated learning, because it doesn't work. I made a video on that about accelerated learning. It doesn't even make sense, and it's not evidence based. Somebody came up with that mess during COVID, and it does not work, and it's not going to close gaps, because it's only going to help kids that you know help kids that are close to on grade level or a little bit beneath grade level. It is not going to help your tier 2 or tier 3 kids. I can tell you that right now. So I hope that you will join me. Let me go back to my shameless promotion. On my workshop, I am going to go deeper into these 4 steps that I just presented tonight. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, you can type workshop in the comment section, and the link will be sent to you. If you're on YouTube, just drop me a comment and ask for the link, and I'll send it right to you. So I hope that this didn't blow your mind, and that you have another. I hope that you have another tool in your toolbox for your students. So I hope that you all join me on Saturday. I cannot wait. I like hosting these free workshops. I host them every month. What's coming up? I'll have another one in November, but in December I'll be doing my 12 days of giveaway, which I really, really am excited about this year. I have a lot to share with you all. And that is all I have for you all today. I'm going to put my little shameless plug in for my workshop, and I hope to see you all on Saturday. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you all in my next live stream. Bye-bye.